Hello and welcome back to the Orlando Adventures podcast. I'm your host Russ, and today marks the debut episode of the Orlando Adventures and beyond. So for this very special episode, I'm joined by an extra special guest. I'm joined by Chris, also known as Chris RSVLTS Chatter. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, Russ, and thank you very much for inviting me on. I feel honoured to be the first guest on your podcast. Hopefully, you go on to bigger and better things after me appearing on it. You know,
I've peaked early.
Oh dear, that doesn't. Just do this one and done podcast. That's all you need to do.
Yeah. Genuinely, I've loved your page for a long time, and obviously, I wanted to get you on the podcast, but I was like, because I know we've had chats about it, but you haven't been to Orlando.
No.
So I'm like, I've got to get you on, and there's got to be a way. So this kind of avenue is perfect, and you're the number one person I wanted to get on it. You're like, as much as anything, the reason why I wanted to do the and beyond series. So
well, that means a lot. So thank you. So I like to think that, you know, me wanting to be on the podcast was like your way of trying to get other people on, but it opens up so much things. You know, we've talked about WrestleMania and, you know, like things to do with that, you know, so it opens up so much stuff for you, like Star Wars, Marvel, and everything like that, which again we've talked a lot about. So, you know, like I hope that, you know, Star Wars Celebration gets mentioned.
Most certainly.
You know, but I'm pleased for you that you're able to expand your wings more so, and, you know, I've been enjoying the content. So I want to give a shout out to my friend Jade, who kind of brought me onto your podcast, because she's a really good friend of mine and know she's listening. If she hasn't fallen asleep listening to my dulcet tones, you know. So
no, I know she's been looking forward to this one. Jade's been fantastic, a huge supporter of the channel, and you know, she's only got positive, amazingly positive things to say about yourself. So
that means more money out then. That's great.
Yeah, spot on. So who are you, Chris? What is Chris RSVLTS Chatter?
Well, I'd wanted to do a Disney page for a while, and I actually find it more fun posting Disney stuff than I did my everyday stuff. And I just thought to myself, well, why not just do a page just to do with Disney? I was called Chris Disney Chatter, and then obviously all the stuff came around where if you were using Disney, they were taking that down. I started getting into Roosevelt, but it's just a case of, you know, embracing the Disney community with the likes of, say, yourself, Jade, plenty of other people. There's been people I've met in the parks and stuff, and it's the kind of, you know, like as we've said about being Star Wars fans, there seems to be a toxic side of Star Wars fandom, whereas with Disney it's the polar opposite, and I find that the Disney community is nothing but welcoming and lovely. And I hopefully, you know, I've had like a lot of people that have followed me and become dear friends, and that's the main part of creating that, is to gain friendships and, you know, just talk to people about Disney and their interests like we're doing now.
Absolutely. Like and I know obviously I'm coming from an Orlando perspective, but this community, and I've obviously seen it because I've tried to kind of branch out to the other parks in the world as much as anything, but the Disney community is so positive, and I love it. It like genuinely like this passion that we all share for one thing is so magical, and genuinely I like every single day. It just brings me so much happiness and positivity.
I'm sure with the likes of your podcast, and then you see so many people sharing other stories and things like that, I'm sure whenever you see that, it kind of just hits you in the feels, because you know, people are actually enjoying what I'm doing, and I'm getting positivity, I'm getting good feedback, I'm getting good reviews on Apple, you know, and Spotify. Make sure to go and do that, etc. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. So how long has your page been going for then?
It'll be 2 years on the 27th of August.
Nice. And did you have kind of any inspiration from, I suppose, other channels, other kind of like Instagrams or anything like that, or just kind of went, you know what, I love talking and posting this stuff, I'm gonna go for it?
I think it was a case of that, but at the same time, I'd already been to the parks, like, you know, twice, and I was going again, so I wanted to make sure that I had somewhere to post my content. You know, you have people who are following you in your personal account, and they may not be into Disney and stuff. And you're like, that's fine, you know, to each their own. And then I thought, well, why don't I create a page to post things to do with that? And then I thought, right, okay, I'll do that, and I've enjoyed doing it. Sometimes it's quite hard to come up with new things whenever you're not in the parks, and you're thinking, what can I do? But luckily,
Yeah.
sometimes you buy something and then you're like, right, that save that as a draft. So I have like 5 or 6 drafts all ready to go. I did one today where I'm in double digits. It's 99 days till my
Yeah.
next trip. So it's just doing that, and you see other people posting stuff and you're like, oh, that's an idea. I'll borrow from them, not copy, I'll borrow from them. But then
Exactly that.
make sure the credit, I saw such and such and posted this, and I thought I would do the same.
Yeah, fantastic. So I suppose getting into this episode, we're going to talk about, as you would have seen from the title of the podcast, we're going to talk about Disneyland Paris. So Disneyland Paris, when was the first time you went to DLP?
Well, I'll get to that in a sec. So in 2017, I was meant to go to Philadelphia for a convention, and sadly, my father, who was diagnosed with lung cancer, had passed away, and
Sorry to hear
I didn't go on holidays then for quite some time, and it wasn't until I met up with my girlfriend Karen in 2019 that I then started going to Disneyland Paris. We decided we wanted to go on the holiday. She was a Disney fan. It's funny because the roles are kind of reversed. So I was a big Star Wars fan and she was a Disney fan. And
Yeah.
she would watch Star Wars videos more, or Star Wars more than I would, but I would watch Disney more than she would. So it's kind of like, my love for Star Wars is still there. Don't worry, it's never going to
Yeah,
go.
still strong.
Yeah, so we went in 2019, and then we were lucky in 2020 because we went the week before the pandemic hit. So the only problem
Yeah.
with that was Flybe went bust, and then I had to try and get a new flight home. So after that, then we waited 3 years, and we went back over my birthday in January 2023, went in March of 2024, and we're going in November 2024. So this will be the first time that I've been to Disney twice in 1 year, and also the first time I've ever been for Christmas, and first time in my life that I've had a week off work in retail in November time. So it's kind of all coming together.
Yeah.
And like it's one of those things where people are like, it's nowhere near as grand as the American parks. I've never had that to compare to, because I've never been.
Yeah.
But for me, it's home. Like any Disney park, as soon as you walk through those gates, as soon as you tap your magic pass or hit your magic band in and you go through, your troubles are left outside and you pick them up sadly whenever you leave.
Yeah.
But that's the magic of Disney, is that you're in a bubble. Everyone doesn't judge you if you're wearing something fancy, if you're wearing something really, really out there, like you're bounding as Yzma or Kronk or whatever, and you look fabulous, then that's grand, and people will come up to you and say, like I've had so many compliments on my shirts, and Karen had so many to do with her ears that she had made.
Yeah.
And it's just the same kind of reasoning. You all want to be there to celebrate Disney. So yeah, that's hopefully that question answers.
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose, because I don't know huge amounts about Disneyland Paris, so this is as much as anything why I've got you on, because I'd love to know more about it. So where do you typically stay when you go on your trips to Disneyland Paris? Do you stay on site, off site? What's the kind of situation?
We've always stayed on site. So we love the direct Eurostar because Karen lives in London. So I normally fly out there.
Yeah.
We get the Eurostar across, whereas before it just took you straight to the train station. You got outside, you were at Disney. Whereas now you have to get, yourself from Gare Nord or Lille or whatever to there, which there's plenty of, ways to get there, whether it's the train, whether we get private transfers, because it saves so much hassle. So we just use that. But yeah, we stay on site. We stayed at Hotel Cheyenne, which is like Toy Story themed. So whenever you go into the room, it's like the curtains are like Woody's shirt.
Yeah.
You've got like a lamp which is like in a cowboy boot, and it's just really nice Western themed. You've got Newport Bay, which is more like a nautical theme. And then the last place we've stayed, and the place we're staying at this coming trip, is Hotel New York, which is like so close, and it's one of the best hotels I've stayed in, not just on Disney, but anytime. Just they look after you so well. Like, it is a bit pricey, but you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And like so many people coming to, even whenever we just checked in and we had 3 knocks on the door, making sure that we had everything we needed, everything was okay, the room was okay and everything. And it was just really, really nice, and that's why we decided to go back there this time. Plus the fact that after a long day in the parks, it's really close just to walk through Disney Village and you're there. You don't have to wait on one of the buses after the fireworks or anything like that. So yeah, we've always stayed on site. Obviously, people like to stay off site and save a bit of money, whereas we're like, you know what, if we're going to do it, let's
We're
do it
gonna
big and
we're gonna do
yeah,
it. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
exactly. Yeah.
Nice. No, I like that. So I suppose kind of like getting into your previous trip. When was the previous trip? Sorry, you did just say.
Previous trip was in March this year.
Nice. So yeah, so not too long ago. Good trip, I assume. Obviously.
Oh yes, yeah. We met so many people, the likes of Sarah, Sophie, Peter, people we met through Instagram and then met in the parks, which was nice. And then the friendship has just blossomed from there. There's a girl, Megan, who lives in Northern Ireland, and we met her fiance in the park for the first time. So you can always say to them, you
Yeah.
know, the first time we met was in Disney. And that's just wonderful. But yeah, that was our best trip because of the hotel, the length of time we stayed there. We stayed there for 6 nights, 7 days. That's why it's a bit more pricier. But yeah, I'm always the planner and I love doing that. You know, as soon as I book the trip, then all the meals are all booked. So we have like everywhere we wanted to eat is all booked and all sorted. So it's exciting and it's like, right, hurry up November and get here, you know.
Yeah. How long do you typically go on a trip there for then? Do you normally go for kind of a week? Is that the sweet
Yeah,
spot, you think?
the first time we went for 3 days, which what you know we were wrecked because we were doing so much to try and cram
Right.
so much stuff in. Whereas the next time we went, I think it was maybe five. I think we went the Sunday to the Friday, and now we go the Sunday to the Saturday because I fly home. The last time we looked, I think it was in January. I said, well, I have to stay in the Premier Inn the night before. And then whenever I looked, it was like, well, that for an extra like 50 quid, I can have meal, I can have a hotel, and more importantly, I could be at Disney.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, let's just add another day on. So that's what we've done now. It's just done the Saturday. The Sunday we arrive, the Saturday we leave, and then I go home, fly back on the Sunday then. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things where with the Eurostar as well, it's the price of the seats aren't that expensive. They're like, you know, return is like £100. And so we decided, well, let's just go up to standard Premier, which you get like a meal. We have like a little table and you get to pick your seats and everything. So, you know, for an extra 60 quid, 160 quid return isn't that bad whenever that's taking you
No.
to Disney, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So with regards to like kind of crowd levels as well, because I don't necessarily know this. Have you found that certain times of year are better than others? I'm assuming that's obviously the case, but
Yeah, well, and in January, whenever we went, you know, we haven't had to wait long for rides and things like that. And then in March, whenever we went, a friend of mine, Simon, funny enough, at the same time we are going to be in Disneyland Paris, he's going to be in Orlando.
yeah,
So, you know, like we'll be able to communicate different, you know, Disney stuff. He was asking, you know, like you seem to be getting a lot done. And we're like, there's not a lot of waiting, you know, for things. And then with the likes of say Crush's Coaster or Big Thunder Mountain, Karen's more the thrill seeker than I am. So we'll just pay Premier Access for her to go on because would you rather spend say €12 or wait 80 minutes for something, you know, for like Crush's Coaster?
yeah,
So it's like, well, just go and do that, you know. So I mean, we've been pretty fortunate where we haven't had to wait like ages upon ages for things. You know, I think the queue time's exponentially less than the likes of an American park because the crowd levels there are so much vaster, you know, because I've seen like watching videos like Page and Mr. Morrow or whatever where he's saying like, oh, this has like a standby line of this, like 110 minutes. And it's like, oh, no, thank you.
yeah, no,
You know, no.
yeah, absolute no go. Fair enough. No, sounds good. Do you find, and I'm going to assume this is the case as well, weekends are busy,
Yeah,
crowd levels are
weekends are the
high.
busier. Yeah, that's why we always try and go on the Sunday.
Yeah,
And then we arrive in, say, around 3 o'clock. We're able to check in our hotel, unpack or whatever, just kind of relax for a bit, go and get something to eat, and then maybe go in the parks in the evening whenever people are coming out.
yeah,
And then during the weeks, then, you know, like it's a case of kind of the plan when you want to go as well, because obviously the likes of the French holidays will be different from our kind of holidays in the UK.
Yeah.
So, like it's always wise to, before you book, have a look and see if there's any bank holidays, or, the kids are off school or anything like that, because you're going to find then everything will go up. But yeah, I mean, the only times that we find not a bit of a struggle, but we've always been able to get, good spots is for the parade, making sure you're there a bit beforehand. With the last parade, A Million Splashes of Color, we were standing like right where there was like a podium where they dance on. So we were able to see the characters coming past and interact a bit with them and things like that. So it's just, obviously the first time you go, you're kind of finding your feet. And then
Yeah.
the fifth or sixth time you go, you're kind of like, oh, well, we'll just go here. And it's just weird whenever you walk into a park and, right, if we go left here, with Frontierland over here, Adventureland over here, Discoveryland over here, Fantasy. And you kind of, you know your way around. You're not looking at a map. Although I still to this day can never figure out where Pirates of the Caribbean is. I always get lost going there. So, I'm not completely great at it all, but anyway.
Yeah. No, good man. Obviously, like, and I know this from just a theme park perspective. Like, obviously, the more you go there, you become used to it. You become used to like the orders of the parts, but also you need to like kind of rush around isn't quite the same as when you first go. So you get an appreciation of kind of taking more of the park in, opposed to just like absolutely like kind of bolting it from ride to ride.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you said your next trip is November this year.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. And
right.
So you said you're going for a week. And so when in November is the trip?
It's the last week of November.
Nice,
So the Christmas stuff's going to be in full effect, which is something we did have a cruise planned. And after coming back from Disneyland Paris, we're like, do you want to do the cruise, or do you want to see if we can go at Christmas time? And Karen's always wanted to go at Christmas time, and it's always looked great. From seeing that at Christmas time, it's always been wonderful to see, the trees lit up, the parade, and with all the lights on and everything like that. The only thing is that I can deal with crowds, but I can't deal well with people being all, standing together. So I don't really want to do the fireworks. Karen does, but I've said that I'll pay for her. There's like a reserve standing area for people if you pay for it.
Okay.
But because there's so many people coming out, that happened to me at WrestleMania once. I was just stuck on the concourse and people were coming one way and going the other, and I couldn't go. And then whenever I got back to my seat, my friends were like, "You okay? You're as white as a sheet." And ever since then, seeing people on Main Street all, shoulder to shoulder, I was just like, no, I can't do that. I could, like the last time we were able to see the drone show from our hotel room, which was lovely, so obviously you can't hear the music,
stunning,
but the music, to be honest, I don't think that great, but you'll be able to see that and see the fireworks. But the drone shows over there are just so good. But yeah, we were able to see the Disneyland Hotel, Space Mountain, and just the castle, and then the projections in front of that, which was just stunning to see, sitting out on the floor eating crisps, just watching that there, watching the world go by.
It doesn't get any better than that. Absolutely.
No.
Amazing. Have you got any must-dos for your next trip? Anything you're kind of really, really looking forward to?
The big thing is to watch the parade in the evening time.
Yeah,
that would be the big thing. Like, we do have, normally whenever we go on a trip, we do like a bucket list thing, and then whenever we finish, we see who's won and who's got the most things that they want to do.
No, I love that.
So I always do a thing where, because we're staying in the Marvel Hotel, I'm trying to watch 13, like say it's 13 weeks until we go, watch 13 Marvel movies. So watch like one a week.
Yeah.
And then that way it's going like 12 weeks, 12 more Marvel movies until I go.
Yeah.
So I actually did a list whenever I first started going. There were some movies before I went the first time I'd never seen, the likes of Sleeping Beauty or Cinderella. So I try and keep some movies that I've never seen before. So the likes of Black Panther 2, as an example, is one that I've never seen. Okay. So then before I go to the trip, I'll watch that then, and then that'll be one to check off. But because we did the trip in March, I've done ones before, like an original countdown. Yeah, so I try not to watch the same movie again. Like, so if I've watched Iron Man, I'll then not watch Iron Man 2 or 3. Thankfully, if I watch Thor, I don't have to watch the second Thor or Love and Thunder, because those movies But they each their own. Some people love them, which is fine.
There
But
aren't
yeah,
many.
so
I'm going to be honest with you.
yeah, there's not, no, but yeah, so that's what I try and do. And then with the likes of the bucket list, it's just seeing what we want to do. Going to Victoria's, a place to have like a Christmas themed snack. There's some places that'll have like Christmas themed food. I think there's going to be like a Christmas market as well, which will have like different style food. Because down where
Nice.
the Ratatouille area is, they normally have, say a Belgian stand, so you can get like Belgian waffles.
Yeah.
They'll have like an Italian stand, and they have like so many different foods from around the world for you to try. And that's the good thing is, and I think personally speaking, Disneyland Paris gets a bad rap for their food. There's only been one meal that I've had which I didn't like, which sadly was in Walt because I had like cold soup. So that didn't bode well for me. But I think it gets a bad rap. Obviously, it's nowhere near as good or as big as the American parks, but I think it's still good, and we always look forward to the food there as well.
Yeah, nice. I mean, to be fair, I think the food's such a big thing. Like, and I know that, like, obviously, I'm talking from an Orlando perspective, but I still see the pictures. Like, I see the pictures from around the world, and they all look stunning.
Yeah.
Like, so if you can get themed foods anywhere, I'm all for it. Absolutely.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic. So I suppose going from food and like past trips to actually getting in the park. And I love asking these questions. And as much as anything, this is going to be even more interesting for me having not been on them. But what is your favorite ride? Just
my
straight
favorite
off
ride?
the bat. Yeah.
Favorite ride is definitely Phantom Manor, which is like Disneyland Paris versions of Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
But for me, this was a ride that I've only in the last couple of years started going on more rides. Like I was all like, oh, I don't fancy that. Whereas Phantom Manor is like, oh, it's a 5-minute wait, let's go on it. And this is going to sound really strange, but it's so comical and so I just find it really out of place in Disney.
Yeah.
Because it's very, like it's very much like if you're a kid, like there was a part where the ride went down and there was just like this skeleton next to me, going up and down. Now, if I'm a kid and this skeleton sitting here, I'd be terrified.
Yeah.
I was terrified as it was. But that's just, I love Vincent Price does the voiceover for that, who obviously you would know from doing the voiceover in Thriller, doing the laugh at the end of Thriller. But, whenever you're in the room and he starts talking, I just love that part. And then you're on the ride and it's never a long wait. It's like about 5, maybe 10 minutes at the most. And it's just one of my favorite rides. I would say a close second would probably be Web Adventure, where it gives your arms a really good workout in Avengers Campus. That's so interactive and so fun. And it doesn't matter if you're good at video games or not, like all you are doing is flinging your arms backwards and forwards. Although I would say by the time you're finished, I actually to start my Web Adventure training, to get my arms ready, because by the time I finish, my arms are like, I don't go to the gym or anything. So by the time I finish, my arms are just killed, so it's not a ride you want to go on twice in a row because, you struggle to lift your fork up to eat your food that day,
So you're walking around all day, every day, pretending you're firing web shooters.
No, not I'm not walking down the street, pretending.
But you got to get your practice in.
Yeah, but I'll end up in some like asylum or something if I'm doing that down the street.
No, there'll be a select group of us.
See if I'm walking to work on Sunday or whatever, I'll just start doing that. Just walking down the street going like that,
Oh, I love it. What's your thoughts on the Avengers Campus?
I love it. I love
incredible.
it. The first time we went there, we actually spent more time in there than we did the actual main park, which says a lot. Now, it is small, but, it's got so much stuff in it. You've got Stark Factory, which has the big Hulkbuster outfit, from obviously the likes of Avengers, Infinity War, Endgame, and Age of Ultron. But it's just like, because Hulk's my favorite character, so that fight between Iron Man and Hulk and Age of Ultron was class. So you have that, and they do amazing pizzas in there. Like it's not like a full pizza, it's like a block, but it's really nice. And then Karen loves Flight Force. She loves Flight Force more so than Hyperspace Mountain now. Funny story, she actually went on with, she goes on single rider because chicken here doesn't go on it. He holds the bag instead.
Someone got to do it.
Yeah, it says to remove your glasses, and a fella beside her didn't. and luckily his glasses were down by her feet. And he was very appreciative that, he was able to help, Karen was able to help. And she just came off and he was like, you could just see, I love sitting there because you see the people coming off who enjoyed it, the people who didn't enjoy it, the people in tears, the kids holding onto their dads, like, or mums, screaming, that they didn't like it. And I'm just sitting there going, see, there's a reason why I didn't go on these things. But yeah, I just love the characters walking around, the fact you can meet characters there. We haven't been to Pim's Kitchen because I've heard mixed reports about that, and it's very different from the American parks because it's a buffet. It's not like a table service or like it is there, and then you can meet other characters as well. But I just love, the only thing is the amount of times you hear Ant-Man's theme in Disneyland Paris as you're walking around Avengers Campus. I love Ant-Man, but the amount of times you hear that, it's just like, oh, here's Ant-Man's theme more. You hear that more than you do the Avengers theme, which is quite ironic. But and then the shop in there, the merch in there is really good as well. But it's just it's a great addition to that. And then obviously with World of Frozen opening up in 2026, that's going to add more stuff in there. That's going to be even more grand there.
Yeah, very excited. That looks to be stunning. Like,
it does.
I'm a big Frozen fan, as everyone knows.
Yeah.
And that for me, I mean, obviously, like, Avengers is a huge draw, and I need to get to Disneyland Paris. Don't get me wrong. Like, it is so high on the list of needs to do because of Avengers Campus, but also, like, I need to have been multiple times, I'm sure, by the time that the World of Frozen comes as well, because that is gonna be absolutely stunning. Excited for it. Really excited.
Oh yeah. Yeah. As is Karen, she was like, we have to go back whenever that opens. So it's like, is there any doubt that we weren't going to?
No brainer.
Because you can, you don't have to go all lavish and go to Disneyland Hotel or other Marvel. You can, for the amount of time you spend in the hotel room, you can slum it and then just go, oh, we'll stay in Cheyenne or Santa Fe, and you're going to save a lot of money that way. But we just thought, because it's Christmas time, this will be our Christmas treat to each other. So that's the way we
nice. Oh, I love that. Have you got like a hidden gem, or like a most underrated kind of attraction or ride?
That's a tough question. See, you send me these questions and I don't like to look at them because I like to think about it.
Yeah, it's great.
I would actually say that one of the rides that we had the biggest giggle on was Autopia, which is like the one where you drive the car.
Yeah.
I don't drive, but it was hilarious. Like, we were just in stitches driving around that. I just think that's such fun. But you have the staple rides there, the likes of Snow White, Pinocchio, Peter Pan. I don't get the hype of Peter Pan at all. It's like you sneeze and you miss it kind of thing. But I would say Autopia would be my favorite ride to do with Karen because of the laugh that you could have, know, and it's one that's a long wait, but you pay like €5 to get on and you get onto it. But Pirates is just such a nice long ride as well. But Ratatouille would be probably, I love Ratatouille because it's different from the American parks, because once you get off it, you can see the Bistro Chez Remy restaurant in there, which we love to dine in, where you shrunk down the size of a rat. The plates are the back of booths, the chairs are like bottle caps, the lights are like Christmas lights, wee fairy lights, and it's just, they do the brilliant steak in there. The service is always good, but it's just one of the places that we love to go to. And it's nice whenever we try to get on the ride now and then go in for our booking and then have our meal there as well and do that. So that's nice. And if you are going to Bistro Chez Remy, just a little tip for you is ask the cast member or server to get the chef to sign a napkin for you. And that way you have like a nice little memento for whenever you come back from Disneyland Paris. So we do that every time. And there was a couple beside us who were waiting for ages to get in. And I asked the server if they could get 4, 2 for them, 2 for us, and give that to them. And they were all, spread a little pixie dust, as they say. And they were really, really appreciative of that. So, but I was very nasty, and I give them the one with the spelling mistake. But anyway,
it's better that way. Oh, I love it. Have you got a most overrated ride then?
Peter Pan.
That is flown all the way from Orlando to Paris as the most overrated.
it should have stayed there. It's just, it's one of those ones that, again, there were some rides that we hadn't been on before, and we hadn't done the classic ones like the Snow White, which, again, if you're a kid, that is terrifying. Pinocchio, which I actually, out of the three of them, I enjoyed the most, and Peter Pan, where I like the theme of it and everything, don't get me wrong, but I never understand why sometimes that will have a longer wait than, say, Big Thunder Mountain will do. I just don't get that. I understand it's a classic and stuff, but it is one of those ones that you're kind of, and then you're off it, and he's like, well, that was good, you know. That's why you don't sneeze, you don't close your eyes, you know, because
you don't blink. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. But that was, for me, is just one that, you know, I get Peter Pan's a classic, etc. But
absolutely,
Peter Pan the ride is just like, it's just one of those ones that I think if we were doing again, if it was like 10, 15 minutes, yeah. But if it's 45 minutes, and I wouldn't certainly pay to go on it again.
You'd save that time that it takes to queue doing something
Oh
else
yeah.
in the park.
Oh totally. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. Obviously from an Orlando perspective, I've heard it a lot. Like, I obviously asked that question, and genuine, I reckon 75% of guests say that in Orlando. So it's interesting that you've said it for Disneyland Paris as well.
Yeah, it's just one of those ones that, you know, you kind of walk past and you see the line and you're just like, how long's that? And you're like,
nope.
You're like, no, let's go to It's a Small World, which is 5 minutes, which I think is just such a charming ride, and it's one that I've loved going on, and it's just, you know, that song doesn't bother me, and I think it's quite nice and quite catchy, and it's just a lovely, vibrant, bright ride. So it is.
Yeah. Have you got a best show, your favorite show that you like to go and watch?
Again, there's been so many shows that are there, and sometimes whenever we're there, it's not on. And last time we were meant to do it, and you just get caught up doing this and that. But the Lion King show was one for me. The Rhythm of the Pride Lands was one for me, that whenever we went in the first time we went, we were able to pay for like a package where we met like Safari Mini. We got like a Lion King drink. We got like some food and a Hakuna Matata. And we were able to see this show, which was just when he just coming out, and people were waiting like 2.5 hours to get in to see the show in the blistering heat in Paris. So we were able to just toddle up, and then we got our seats. And I'm not ashamed to admit it, but like that got me right. Like 3 or 4 times I cried at that. And music is always my biggest trigger. You know, with even at the end of Star Wars, The Force Awakens, whenever, you know, she's walking up the steps and stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, like it always just gets me.
I've just got goosebumps you saying that.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So I completely feel it.
Yeah. So, but with the likes of that music and just the performance and everything of that, that's just a tremendous show. And, you know, I've never seen it on the likes of the West End or Broadway, obviously, but that's kind of like a scaled down version. But it's just the production of it is just, it's just incredible, and hopefully it's on. I've said to Karen, we're definitely doing the shows like the Mickey and the Magician, and Together I've heard nothing but good reports about, which is like a Pixar one, and I've heard it's just terrific. And obviously they don't allow filming or anything like that in it, so a lot of it is still, you don't know what happens in it, which is good.
I think that's fantastic though. Yeah, to go into something, because it's so easy on Instagram and YouTube and stuff to go and watch these things as well.
Yeah.
And like to save a bit of the magic, to kind of have the surprise of it, I think genuinely is worth its weight in gold.
Totally. Yeah, 100%. So that'll be definitely something we do this time, if it's on, of course. You know, there is the Frozen one there as well, but it's one that I think it's in English and French. So it's like, I don't really want to try and sing Let It Go in French, you know, so.
It'd be an interesting one, but
it would be, yeah.
Certainly might not hit the same way.
No, I'll certainly not hit the notes the same way. Not that I could hit them in the first place, but.
Oh, I thought you were going to go for it then.
No, just let that go.
No, we'll leave it to Adina Menzel.
Yeah, that's a wise idea.
Yeah, and you know, we kind of touched on food a minute ago, but what's your favorite restaurant in the park?
Oh, Bistro Cher Ami, without a shadow of a doubt.
All day long.
That's one of those ones that whenever we book, that fills up so quickly. Like if you're staying on site, you can book up to a year in advance. So if you're like the hotel ones, so like Art of Marvel has Manhattan Restaurant and downtown's like a buffet. Manhattan's like a kind of fine dining experience, but they felt like downtown fills up so fast. And I've been very good that any restaurant that we want to go to, I've got, with the exception of this year, wherever I was trying to get downtown, I wasn't able to, but I managed to snag us a reservation. So I have it there in case, we want to do it. That's fine. If we want to do something else, that's fine. But Jeremy does such, I just love the theming of it. The steak in there is good. And it's a really popular restaurant because of the theming of it. But I would say Auberge de Cendrillon, which is like the princess dining, is terrific. We went there for the first time in March, and just the food in there and the service in there was just incredible. And then obviously you get to meet princesses while you're eating, which is nice. So, but there's so many different places there, and we always prefer to have a sit down meal rather than doing a quick service. We'll do that for lunch, say, but because we get the meal plan, this is basically paid for, so you'll get like a 3-course €55 meal, which is included as part of your meal plan. So we just decide to do that. Although I would have to say that I've always had a great starter, a main course, but Disneyland Paris, you need to sort out your desserts, because that's where, see, at buffets, their desserts are strong. See, at sit-down restaurants, the desserts aren't for me, sadly. So hopefully whenever I go back and they have Christmas themed stuff, hopefully that's wherever I go, like, that's it. That's 10 on 10.
Yeah, they've knocked out of the park at that point.
Yeah.
Hopefully. How does the kind of like dining plan work? This is me going off on tangents here. So sorry.
That's fine. You have 3 different ones. So you have like your breakfast, which obviously is your breakfast in your hotel. You can use in different places like Annette's and things like that. Then you have the half board, which is your breakfast and either lunch or dinner.
Yeah.
So with the likes of, say, the Royal Banquet in the Disneyland Hotel or the Auberge de Cendrillon, they're kind of like a premium one. So you can get that included as part of it, but you pay a bit extra. So with the likes of, say, the swankiest one is Table de Lumiere inside the Disneyland Hotel, which is like a true fine dining experience. And you would get to meet like Belle and a couple other princes and princesses, but it's like €120. So with the meal plan, then even with that, you're still going to have to pay like €70 extra on top of that.
Okay.
So it's one of those ones that it's going to be very, it's going to be very, I think it's, from what I've seen, it's expensive, but it's worth it. And then you have the full board, which is basically your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner. So you get all 3 of them paid for, but it's like an extra, I think it's an extra £40 per person per day. So whenever you're adding that on, it certainly mounts up. So that's why we only just go for the half board. We'll get like a quick service and either share it or get one each. And then we'll just get the dinner, and then that's all paid for then. It means then as well, the main reason why we do it is because it means that the money you're taking with you, apart from paying for your lunch, or maybe like if you have your lunch paid for and then you're going for your dinner, it means that you're only taking a bit of money for that and your snacks. You're not having to go, right, I need to get my dinner, which is going to be €50 per day, say, and then you're doing that. So that's why we like to do it from the offset, and that way the money we can take, we could spend on fabulous merch.
Yep, there you go. Exactly that. I got kind of one final question to wrap up the podcast. It's one question, but I'm going to flip it. So we're going to kind of ask it both ways, because I'm intrigued as much as anything. But if there were one ride you could take from Disneyland Paris and give to Orlando, which ride would it be? If you're like, this is the one. Like,
It's not the ride I've been on, but the one that has the biggest wait time is Crush's Coaster, because that's an exclusive to Disneyland Paris.
Yeah.
So that's the one that you would say single rider is 45 minutes, and then the normal line is like 90 minutes.
Right.
So unless you rope drop that or you pay for it, you're going to be waiting there a while. It actually came to a point where Karen went on that first time and she went on single rider. I was able to go and watch Star Wars for Legends of the Force, like show from beginning to end, go over, and still had to wait for carrying around the sequin lounge fly, which was wonderful. But yeah, so it's a long wait. It is worth it, but again, it's a very short ride. But that would be one that if they give to the American parks, would be one that I'm sure they would take, because you could see, people who vlog and they're from America and they go on that and go like, I really wish that we had that
Yeah,
over there,
yeah,
because obviously Ratatouille ride has gone over there now and stuff. Whereas I think that's one of the very few rides that's missing from the American parks.
yeah. Interesting. I suppose kind of flipping the question then. So if there was a ride from Orlando you could take from any of the 4 Disney parks and pull it to Disneyland Paris, which ride would it be then?
Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, or
Yeah,
whatever, if I've butchered
nice.
that name.
No,
I
that's the one.
love I love the music for that. Great, just the theming of that, just the way it's done.
Yeah,
I just think it's superb. Like it would fit anywhere in Disneyland Paris. We have a Meet Mickey section at the back, and if you were to put that over to the right hand side of that, that just goes in
perfect.
really well. But
Yeah,
that every vlog I've seen with that, I just love watching it.
yeah,
Fair enough, it seems to break down a heck of a lot, but it just looks such fun. Like Karen has the Lounge Flight Bag picnic one that has that kind of theming,
yeah,
of that animation. And I just think it's so cleverly done. Obviously, I would love the Rise of the Resistance because it just looks
yeah,
absolutely incredible. Like as a big Star Wars fan, and walking through and seeing the queue and everything like that, and it looks like one that looks a heck of a lot of fun to
yeah,
be on. And I think that would, like, it's a shame that we're not getting Galaxy's Edge over Disneyland Paris now. But fair enough, we're getting the Lion King stuff instead, which I think is great.
yeah,
And I think it differentiates from other parks as well. But that would just be because I don't Star Tours isn't for me. That's just rough as anything. That it's kind of grab hold of the seat and just
yeah.
it's just
Hold
almost
on for
like you're
dear
sitting there.
life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and I don't like Hyperspace Mountain. And I think Karen used to enjoy coming off that, and then whenever she came off at last, her face was just like, oh, I didn't enjoy. I think she was sitting at the front, and I think that's probably
right.
why. So,
Uh,
but yeah, those would be the two. But I'll pick Mickey and Minnie's Railway
yeah,
instead of the Rise of the Resistance one.
nice. Good shout. Good shout. And I know, as a Star Wars fan as well, to be fair, just touching on Rise of Resistance, like you'd love it. I
Mm.
genuinely, that experience is special as an immersive experience for a Star Wars fan. Just a
I'm
different
sure
level.
that I'm sure
Yeah,
that is, and then like I've always wanted to walk down and see the big Millennium Falcon
yeah,
sitting there
yeah,
as well. Like that just seems incredible. So if we could set away like a GoFundMe, to get me to Orlando, that's grand.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Oh, good man. That wraps up my questions. So that is everything on my kind of list. Everything I had to ask you, and it genuinely, it's been such a pleasure. It's been
Oh,
so
same for
good.
me.
It's been so good to have an insight into Disneyland Paris as well. And I honestly, I want to go there so much. It's so high on the list. Like it's gonna happen. So 100%, it's gonna happen at some point soon.
Okay. Well, if you need any tips or if you need any questions answered, just feel free to bombard me with messages.
Yep,
That's
I
fine.
absolutely will. You'll be my go.
Obviously, like this is just from my perspective, like all the things I've talked about, everyone does things differently, but that's just the way I do it, like, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you plan your trips as long as you have fun. That's the main outcome of your trips.
So this wraps up the episode with Chris from Chris RSVLTS Chatter. I had such a great time recording this episode with Chris. I really, really enjoyed it. And genuinely, it was such an absolute honour to have Chris on as the first guest for the And Beyond series. I hope you enjoyed listening to this as much as I enjoyed recording it. And I will speak to you all in the next one.